Welcome to Unstoppable, where dreams turn into plans and plans turn into powerful action. Hosted by Paula Swain, financial planner, business owner, grandma, and queen of reinvention. This show is for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. We'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll tackle the messy, beautiful, in-between parts of life that no one really talks about, but we all live through. This is Unstoppable.
Hi, and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm Paula Swain, your host and financial planner with the Financial Center for Women. So we often talk about growth, improvement, coaching, and we are going to talk again about coaching with Jodi Lehman from the Higher Achievement Center. So welcome, Jodi.
Thank you, Paula. Thanks for
You're
having
welcome.
me today.
So Jodi and I have worked together for, about a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So she's got a great sense of humor, so we're going to see if it comes out today.
Watch out.
No, I want it to come out.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
I want that wit you have to come out. Makes much more for an exciting
right.
show than
Got to bring the energy.
bring it.
That's
So
right.
you recently just changed your business.
Yeah, so we transitioned more from more life coaching into leadership coaching because leadership coaching really covers what we were covering in life coaching, but it's more strategically geared towards people who are looking to be better in communication, relationships, and with their careers. So we're touching more businesses as well because we see a gap within the businesses. A lot of the younger generation, they're struggling, especially with communication, how to work with their coworkers. And I'm not certain if it was from the COVID era where they had that point where they just weren't around with other people. So
No, it's this.
and that
And the helicopter parents and video games.
Yeah, and so it's kind of snowballed. And so when you're dealing now with businesses that are our 50s and older that own these businesses, they're
What do you mean
what's-
ours? Like, what do you mean putting me in that category?
when they're over 50 and they're business owners, it's a different generation. And even though you may have kids that age, it's different working with people in your field, because you're thinking that okay, they came from college and they're now in this role, but it's not working the way you anticipated.
No, it's funny. I was talking with my girlfriend the other day, and she has, sorry, children of mine, but she has children around my youngest son's age, and we were talking about communication and how they struggle with it when it comes to working because they just don't know how to do it at all. And then you've got their employer who's can't figure out how to get them to do what they need to do. And the younger, they don't seem to be able to find their voice. I'll be like, well, why didn't you ask this question? Well, because I didn't know. Well, why didn't you ask this question? Because I didn't know. But how do you teach someone what they should already, you would think they should already know?
Right. So this is part of what we're working with in our leadership programs that we have. It's where we specifically take that person's situation. So whether it's at work or at home, and it's dealing with their communication. So we're like, yes, bring us what your situation is, live situations. That's what we want to know. And then we walk them through a different perspective of it. And it's helping them understand, like, oh, you may want to say it this way versus that way. And then we've given out certain little, like, one-sentence scripts when people don't know how to react to, like, well, they just sent an email and I don't know if I'm supposed to stop what I'm doing here or if I'm supposed to go in this direction. We're like, okay, this is what you need. You need clarity, right?
Right.
And then so we give them, like, try one of these and see how that works for you. And this is why then when they come back, they let us know what has worked for them, and then we can modify to work with their personality and how it's working for them at their job as well.
So let's go with an example. And I know this is totally none of the questions I gave.
It's not. I knew this was going to go like that, though. I knew it. I'm like,
I don't even know why I even give questions. But so let's work with that. So I'm a 26-year-old, and I've been given a task that I'm working on. and I get an email coming over, and you're right, I don't know, do I stop this task? Do I do this? So that sentence that you're giving them, is that something they would reply to the email that would say, is this need to be done now, or?
Right. So if you're, say, a manager or supervisor sent the email and saying, hey, I need you to look at, Tom's project. Well, then you might say, oh, well, hi, Dave. Can you tell me, is this a priority that needs to be done now, or when does this need to be completed by? So that you can get clear instructions from the supervisor or whomever sent you that message. So now you're not frazzled. You're like, oh my gosh, you're not,
Right.
Everything is clear. And then once you get into that type of habit, then it's easier for you to now you're feeling more confident in what you're doing as well. And that helps you also with your communication because you're getting the flow of it.
You're finding your voice.
Exactly.
And then it will help the supervisor because he'll now know when he sends you an email that he needs to be clearer
Right.
on what needs to be done.
Right. And so it goes in twofold. So it's not just necessarily the younger generation, it's the people that are managing that generation that's like, they're not detailed enough to push them along. And that's part of what we call leadership coaching and understanding the skill set. Because in reality, I know you've heard of it, emotional intelligence.
I have 0. No, just kidding.
Yeah, well, and just to break it down, what it is, it's self-awareness.
Right.
It's being aware of how are you communicating with other people, because and I've done it. I think someone knows what I'm saying, but they're lost. And so it's really making certain that when you communicate with someone that you're saying, do you understand? And if they say, yeah, well, how so? So they can repeat it back to you and make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, I learned that in marriage counseling.
Oh.
So you say something, I repeat what you just said to me, and then I ask you, is there more? And then you say something, I repeat what you asked me, is there more? I know for myself, I just assume everybody knows what I'm talking about, and I'm really bad at it. You probably already know this from working with me, and when you're like coming back at me, I'm like, what do you mean? What didn't you get? It's right here.
And then that's part of it too, because when we're working with people who are in executive positions, because I've done the same thing, and this is why I understand it. You have so many things going on in your head, and like for me, my mouth doesn't seem to catch up with what I'm thinking, and so I'm missing something. But when you get used to doing it, you can catch yourself. And that's where you can make your adjustments, because that's really what leadership's about. It's adjusting yourself so you can help the other person. And that's leadership. It's not about your title, but it's about how are you leading you to help lead others to get to where they need to go.
And you think about it, everybody in the company has some sort of leadership. Yeah. Everybody in their life, even if you're leading yourself or you're leading your children, or we're leading our spouses.
No, we do say that all the time, though, because
the
first person you have to lead is who? It's you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have to learn your own leadership, like what works for you, and how does that, how can you expand upon that? And some people are just completely lost because they don't really think, they don't take the time to think about, okay, how do I communicate, or how would I do this?
Yeah, for me, it's like, give me the facts. I don't need the fluff.
Mm-hmm.
The fluff, you've lost me. Just give me the facts, and I'm ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Just tell me what you need to tell me. But I know there's other people that need a lot of detail. I don't need a lot of detail,
mm-hmm.
But they need a lot of detail. They maybe need to understand a little bit more why you're asking that,
mm-hmm.
and you almost have to be a chameleon depending on who you're dealing with.
Well, and that's the emotional intelligence part. Because when you're in certain positions or any time in your life, you have to know who you're talking to. And as a parent, every one of your kids, if you have more than one, they're different. They communicate different.
Mm-hmm.
They can be complete opposites. So it's understanding, how do you communicate with this person versus that person, because nobody's the same. And that's the emotional intelligence piece. That's becoming aware of how are you communicating and what does that look like? And then how do you make it better for the other person? Because the ultimate goal is to get the other person to where you're at.
So let's take this out of the work environment into the home environment. And so how do you, because everything you're teaching, I'm sure, gets moved into that home environment also.
Yeah, we always say your work and your home always intermingle. I don't think nobody can, if you're having a bad day at home, it's very tough for you to go to the office and be, hey, everybody, how's everyone doing today? When you just had a fight maybe with your 15-year-old kid, or your dog died. It's just, you have life going on.
Right.
And so you're right. Everything that you do is everything you do. It all intermingles.
I think when you think about going back to high school, if you could, I always think there would be so many things that, yes, I know you need to know how to write a sentence, speak English. Maybe I skipped that class, but, understanding science. But there should be a class on money. There should be a class on communication.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. If we all walked out of there knowing how to communicate to different people, where we'd probably be further ahead in life.
Yeah.
If we all knew about finances, we'd be further ahead. It's the life part of things, like if it's even learning about how to deal with your fear versus, just going for it, like we were just talking about on the last show, about just saying yes and not worrying about fears. Imagine what kind of well-rounded people we'd end up with.
Well, that's 100% correct. And I do believe Michigan did change the rules where they have to start teaching with that. And then I think the only communication I ever had was like speech class, which was one class, right? You just had to do a speech. But
and how did you do in that class?
I'm sure I probably did well. I don't mind it. So and that's where the fear comes in. So and that's part of the other piece of it too, because when you had said before, like, I think you said one of your kids, like, well, why didn't you just say something? Well, because they have fear. Mm-hmm. People have embedded fears of, am I good enough? Am I going to look foolish? Or some people are like, do they like me? I want people to like me, so I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do, instead of standing up and being confident. But confidence comes from experience as well, and from doing things and understanding that you're going to take losses. Failures happen, but that make it into a lesson, and that will help you 100-fold, because that's how you become a high performer, a high achiever.
But you can't have success if you don't try, and on your way to success is many failures.
Oh, a lot.
Which means, to me, when I fail, that means I'm one step closer to succeeding.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of people get stuck, like, I got to be perfect, and then they carry that anxiety with them, like, nobody's perfect. Nobody. And once you internalize that and understand that you're not going to be perfect, it's just not going to happen. And then you got to go with it.
I worked with a woman who, when we were putting together a marketing piece, well, you should use this word or do this. And, at some point I'm like, what? That might be perfect for you, but somebody else reading it, they don't even notice that. Or,
Right.
You just have to be able to talk to the general public, because it's never going to be perfect. It's being perfect in any situation is being at that moment, the moment with that person, and they're understanding you. That's perfect.
Right.
Not polished, but perfect.
Right.
Like, and you can't because we're different.
Exactly. And so
although we look alike with our blonde hair.
I know, blue eyes. But yeah, so that's really all part of the leadership piece. So it just depends on what we're doing and who we're doing. But we still do our elite coaching, which can carry over to other like personal as well. But one thing that we just had a client actually who had an issue, and we had to remind him that, look, we have a saying called HALT awareness. And that means HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Whenever you know you're in one of those phases, do not make any big decisions and try to stay away from making like any important decisions, because they're normally not going to work out well for you. Because you can't. Your emotions are caught into a different framework. So that's why if you're tired, go take a nap. And I bet you can make a better decision once you wake up.
But how do you do that if you're at work and decisions have to be made? And, when you said that, I thought about Snickers bars. But anyway.
See?
Yeah.
They know it. But
yeah,
so the difference is when you're at work, it depends what the situation might be. So you might be able to say, can I get back to you in like 15 minutes? And in that 15 minutes, maybe you can take a little brief walk just to clear your head and get different scenery so you can make a different decision. Or it might be you're in the middle of a project. Some people get really anxious when their phone rings and they got to answer it or they got to text right away. So think about it. Let it go. It's going to be there later. If they leave a message, great. If they don't, maybe it wasn't important. But you can come back to it.
That's hard. I think for a lot of people, that's really hard.
It is.
We've been, instant gratification all the time. So if you get a text, you feel like you need to answer it right away. Mm-hmm. But when I was growing up, we didn't have phones. Mm-mm. We had pagers. Remember the pagers?
Yeah, but that's even old.
I know, I'm old. But I wasn't going to let you put me in that group.
I never had a pager, though. I know. I never.
I wasn't going to let you put me in the 50 group, even though I'm in the 60 group. So, but once we did get that phone, you think about it in any aspect, like you left a message, right, and they called you back when they had a chance. But people, I have been putting my phone down mm-hmm. and just walking away.
Yeah.
Just walking away. Emails, I only check a couple of times a day. Mm-hmm. I had to because I wasn't getting anything done.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other part of it is understanding what's your time management, what's your organization. And so we work with people on that too because it's necessary. And especially when we're at work, we're finding people that feel overwhelmed because they have so much work to do. But the work's going to be there tomorrow. Like, there's certain things you have to get done, but you have to remember you're never going to accomplish everything because that's the point of you going to work.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's always going to be there. And you know this.
I know, but I want it
just like your emails.
Yes.
They're still going to be there.
Yes, they're still going to be there. I know. But I think, well, then it's how do you end your day feeling like you did a good job is maybe, I mean, I've been overwhelmed mm-hmm. and I don't like to wake up the next day feeling like I am overwhelmed already by just waking up. So I kind of try to just say, okay, I didn't get everything done today, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. I got this done. I got that done. And because you could just like put yourself in this hamster wheel and just keep going and going and going until you burn out.
Right. And that's where people burn out. It's because they don't know how to step away. It don't have to be for a long period of time. And just like you said, if you have your to-do list, the things that you didn't get done, they might be on your must-do list tomorrow morning. So you already know where you're headed. So when you wake up, that's the list. Mark it off.
I like to check things out.
I know, so do I. I use colored ones like red. I know, so do I.
Do you ever write something down on your list that wasn't on your list so you could check it off?
I've never done that.
I have.
I've never done that. But yeah, so it's just it's finding out what really works for you and then making it a habit so that you don't get the overwhelming.
So what are some traits that you see with high achievers?
Well, they like to, so it depends because when we talk about high achievers, I guess there's high achievers, but there's different levels of it. So it depends where you're at in life. The really like high performance people, they're very organized. They know what they're looking to do and they want to go do it. And normally where they kind of get stuck is they don't know how to jump over the next hurdle. Like they want to move forward, but yet they're like, oh, how do I do it? And that's really like where we come in, because we're not in your life. So we can hear what you're saying and we can dissect it. And we're like, okay. So now we can build a plan and a framework to like guide you over that, because that's the whole point of hiring us, is to help you get to a different level. And high performers are always want to do more and do better. And it's checking the boxes, but what we find is the older you get, it's not about checking the boxes always anymore. It's about your fulfillment, and that's where your burnout comes from. It's like, do you really love what you're doing, or are you just doing it for the paycheck? Did you go into this field because you're going to get paid XYZ, and now you're kind of like, now what am I going to do? I'm like, you got the mortgage, you kind of put yourself in a box, but how do you get out of the box?
Yes.
And that's the whole point of working with it. And you would see that too, because being in finances,
I see it all the time.
Yeah, you see they put themselves in a box, like, now what?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Is what you're doing today giving you joy?
Yep.
And if it's not, what can we do to make that joy come back into your life? And it might be, picking up a hobby, or it might be, let's look and see what job opportunities are out there, or starting your own business, or whatever it takes, or retiring early and doing what you want. But it's great to have those conversations. I don't like to have the conversation when somebody's, 58, 59, and they're just totally burnt and they just want to retire. If you could have just gotten them 10 years earlier, where could they be?
Yeah. Well, and it's, now that you bring that up, I saw a show the other day. I was on the news. I was talking about parents that put their kids in these traveling athletic teams, right? And the cost, it's extravagant, depending on what sport you're in. And I thought about you, because I'm thinking, if you're putting all of your money on a 10-year-old kid traveling and you don't really know where that's going, are you really doing the right thing?
Well, having a child that traveled sports, I know the cost of it. Yep. But I think with there's a happy medium somewhere. But I think that the parents who have I've been there, so I'm not judging anybody. Yeah. But there are only so many professional athletes. Yeah. And there's only so many college scholarships. And at some point, when do you face the fact that your kid shouldn't be spending, or you shouldn't be spending $1,000 a year for your kid if you took that money and put it elsewhere and had them play, high school baseball versus travel baseball, which is now a whole year,
right,
and thousands of dollars. And it's not just paying the baseball; it's the hotels and the travel expenses and the food. All of that adds up.
Yeah.
And the tournament costs, and so could that be better placed somewhere else? That's really comes down to, is this a kid goal or is this a parent living through the child?
Right. And that's because the person they were talking to, they kept cutting back on like their vacations and their savings. Like they might have had an emergency fund, but they don't really now have a savings anymore because they're using it for their children. And I get it. As a parent, you love your kids to death and you want to give them everything. But everything's not always good.
Oh, no.
Because I see the results of that with 30-year-olds coming into our office, that parents gave them everything, but I know they loved you, but we got to get you on the path because you now have to take responsibility. Your parents aren't going to be there forever for you. And so you may have to be there for your parents. So we got to get you to that next level. And I think that, and that's why I thought about, because they were like really starting to cut back, and they're spending like $15,000 a year because they added what you just said. It's not just the cost of the sport itself; it's the hotels and everything else. So it's and that's part of the leading you. Where are you going?
Airline tickets versus just traveling. We live in Michigan, but traveling to Ohio. It could be. My son was in Florida. We were in North Carolina. We were in Tennessee. We were all over the place.
Yeah.
For him playing baseball.
That's a lot.
And I'm not getting into all of the details on that, but I do know that from now as an adult, he would have preferred not to.
There are kids like that. They do it because their parents want them to do it, and they kind of But that's where communication comes in.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you need to talk to your children and say, is this something that you really want, or where are you looking? What are you looking to do with this?
Right. And I guess in that it goes back to encouraging your kids to talk to you, encouraging them to use their voice will help them when they get into the job market down the road, that they already know how to use their voice.
Exactly. And I'm a fan of athletics anyways, because I think that helps build kids' confidence, and it helps them understand that what a team effort is, that it's not about them always, it's about the other people on their team as well. And that helps moving forward in your leadership process.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be $15,000.
It does not.
It could be the high school baseball team.
I know. You just got to buy the cleats and the miscellaneous things.
I thought about that for a while, about how much we spent on travel sports. And, he went to Game Over Shard, how much that cost. I mean, there was a lot of cost for these children. And you wonder, did it pay off? Did it not pay off? You don't know. But we all know we have this journey, right? Maybe that was his journey to get him to where he is today. My journey as a parent to learn things, right? So who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just.
It is not.
It's the journey.
Yeah. And you have to figure it out along the way. And communication is key.
Yeah.
That cuts through everything right there.
Well, we were talking to Nicole Bright before we started this interview, and Nicole is a divorce coach, and big thing she's talking about is communication. But just think if we all communicated in our marriages, when we ever got divorced,
Yeah.
So maybe that should be the class. It's communication.
Well, but that's part of that's why when we do our leadership, communication's part of it, because no matter what, we're humans. We all have to communicate with the neighbors, the teachers, the work. So you're always communicating, and it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, and it's also your body language as well. So that's all part of it. So
I shouldn't be looking at you rolling my eyes.
Well, yeah, because we've caught people who are when we bring up a certain topic, they're like, well, and then so we let them continue, because we're well, we see what your employer is saying now, because you just went off the deep end on one little piece, and you could see it their body language got really aggressive, and you're yeah, that's what they're talking about. And so that's awareness, emotional intelligence, awareness, self-awareness. Yeah.
Whew, self-awareness.
I know. Yeah. So that's.
I think we'll probably end on that one. What's the one biggest tip you would give someone?
On what?
On any if you. And I know a lot about you, so it doesn't even have to be on this topic. Anything. How about this? If you had to go back to Jodi at 10, what would you tell Jodi?
I wouldn't. I don't have no regrets. So for me, I'm kind of a little bit different on that. So what I would tell someone is always do what you have a passion for. That's what I would tell someone. So when you look at your life, whether you're 10 or you're 15, what do you really like to do? What do you enjoy doing? Because that's really where your purpose is at. And don't look at getting into something because of the money, or my mom and dad said I have to be a doctor or I have to be XYZ. Figure out, like, there's always, I always tell people, and I take people through this to figure out where their purpose lies, is we go back to like when you're 10, 11, 12, there's a thread that runs through your entire life that if you take time to look, you're going to see what you are great at, what came so naturally easy to you, and that's really where your purpose lies, because you're here for a reason. And as my tip is to find out what that reason is sooner rather than later, because then you're not going to have the regrets. You're not going to have $1 million and feel unfulfilled, because you're going to understand where your purpose is. Well, this is why you're like, well, but this is why you see people who are, you see it on the TV, like people who, they're struggling and they're multi-millionaire because they don't feel fulfilled. They don't have that purpose in them.
Money doesn't make you feel fulfilled.
Oh, not at all.
It can make life a little bit easier,
Absolutely.
don't get me wrong, but it really doesn't make you feel fulfilled.
No. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. So there you have it. It's figure out, what do you really love to do? What's your passion? What comes super easy to you? And that's really your road to fulfillment.
So I didn't figure out, and I know we're running out of time. I didn't figure out my passion and my purpose until I got divorced.
But it's never too late.
No.
Never too late.
No.
That's why I'm like,
I talk about that with people that are, retired, and they're like, I'm like, what do you want to do? What gives you joy? What makes you want to get up every day?
mm-hmm.
And then take that. You've got plenty of money, so it's not about generating
Right.
income. It's just generating what makes you happy and what you can give. Because usually your purpose is giving to others in some form.
Yeah.
So, and that in itself is joy.
And that's leadership. Because real leadership is service. Because the whole point of you being a leader is to serve the people that you're in charge of, or that's looking up to you for the answers. It's to serve them.
Well,
they all coincide. See?
I mean, I don't know what everybody's religious belief is, but we were all put on this earth to serve.
Absolutely. Well, and I have to say this, the best leadership book out there, I believe, is the Bible. Because you can go through the whole book and there's a ton of fabulous leaders. Every one of those leaders made mistakes. And they've all learned from the mistakes as well. So it's a jewel, but people just don't think about it in that way.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's not, probably because that's not how we were raised.
I know.
No,
So yeah.
not at all. Catholic school, just going to go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jodi, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It was great to see you again.
You too. So this has been Unstoppable, where we dream, grow, and thrive. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching Unstoppable. Do you have a question for Paula? Send it our way. To schedule a one-on-one consultation, give us a call. Unstoppable is brought to you by Paula Swain and the Financial Center for Women. Dream, grow, thrive.